Boxing Info, I'm your host, The Islander, and this is going to be the results show week ending May the 3rd. I'm going to go through this real quick because I'm going to do the schedule first and then go back to the results so we can spend more time on them. Friday, May 8th, ESPN 2, middleweights, Craig McEwen taking on Brian Vera from Fort Worth, Texas. This is the Showcase McEwen. Would expect him to win. Bernard Hopkins is in the studio. The next night on the 9th, there's some pay-per-view card. I don't know who's putting it out. It shouldn't cost more than $10 for it. Atlantic City, Hector Camacho Sr., who might be the oldest in terms of start date or professional debut, still fighting, taking on Yuri Boy Campos in a 12-round, 154-pound fight over, I don't know, maybe they got some title out of a bubblegum machine or something, I don't know. And also on HBO that same night from Las Vegas, Bad Chad Dawson's fighting his rematch title defense for the IBF light heavyweight title against Antonio Tarver. I would give Dawson the edge. I'd give him a big edge in the first fight and a big edge when this was signed, but I'm not as certain now because Tarver has been better in rematches with people than before, but I think the skill set here is just so much different that Dawson is younger, fresher, more active, and is probably going to get by Tarver again by a decision. But don't be surprised if Tarver catches Dawson and finds a way to whack him out. I don't think so, but you know, Eric Harding and Roy Jones Jr. found out the hard way. But I'm going to go with Dawson in this fight. Alright, the results. April 30th, back in Panama City, Panama, Celestino Caballero defending his WBA and 122-pound titles against Jeffrey Mathebula of South Africa. From all accounts I read, he won a split decision with, I believe, all three judges scoring the fight 8 rounds to 4. 2 for Caballero, 1 for Mathebula, obviously. And the situation with this is, I heard if the fight was fought in neutral territory, that Caballero might not have gotten a nod. And from what I understand, he got off to a quick start, but faded down the stretch, and Mathebula outpunched him. Imagine if what that would be like against Yuriorkis Gamboa or against Juan Manuel Lopez. It would be lights out because this guy's been put to sleep before. But Caballero keeps on chugging. You know, it's just inconsistent with his performance. He looked spectacular against Molitor and looked crappy against La Ciavera. I mean, you know, it's up and down with him. And that's the only knock I have, is that there's not a consistency here. Okay, May 1st in Las Vegas, Urbano Antillion scored a 5th round stoppage, 2 knockdowns over Tyrone Harris. Solid, got off to a little bit of a slow start, but dug in, got to the body, and did his thing. Alfonso Gomez came back for the first time since April of 2008 when he was brutally stopped in 5 rounds by Miguel Cotto and scored an 8th round stoppage in his first fight fighting for top rank. Alright, that brought us to the pay-per-view card in Las Vegas. Abner Mares scored a 6th round TKO in his fight. Mike Alvarado scored a knockdown and an 8th round decision in his fight. I'm trying to think who the Russian guy was. I did not see the undercard with my full attention. I was taking care of things. Me and a bunch of friends kind of get together and split this up, and we do it at an off-site, not at the house, kind of like, and get this, you know, thing going. And the police were involved, and just, it's a long story. Matvey Korobov scored a 2nd round TKO of Antonio Bartinelli. I was watching this, and I was thinking to myself, you know, people have complained before about not getting the whole undercard, and here you go, and a lot of you on my channel have been complaining about it being mismatches. That's kind of what boxing has evolved into. The days of Don King putting together a pay-per-view card where you had Azuma Nelson fighting a life-and-death struggle with Gabe Ruelas or Jesse James Leija, and then Julio Cesar Chavez fighting a fight before Mike Tyson, you know, those days are over. Those competitive fights are over. This is showcase time for future and better sales of pay-per-view is what it is. But Humberto Soto scored a ho-hum stoppage, an impressive stoppage in a crappy fight over Benoit Gourdet of Quebec, who I believe we have seen on ESPN before. And it's funny that HBO was kind of yibbing and yabbing about Floyd Mayweather and showing the footage of him announcing he's coming back and this and that against Marquez, which all of you know, I think for Mayweather it's a good thing. For Marquez, I don't think it's such a good thing. That's just me. And Bob Arum said the same thing in the post-fight press conference for the Pacquiao-Hatton fight. But Soto all of a sudden unleashed a right uppercut in the 9th round and down went Gourdet, and HBO was kind of like in the middle of talking about Mayweather while the fight was going on. And then Soto got up, and Gourdet got up, and Soto jumped on him, and scored another knockdown, and J90 waved the fight off. A good win for him. I like to see him fight Antillion. I like to see him fight Valero. any number of people. Alright, next up, the main event. Ricky Hatton defending his linear 140-pound title against Manny Pacquiao, and this will be known as the knockout of the year. If you've got one of these dictionaries, Webster's, whoever, American Heritage, and you look up the word stretch, or stretched, E-D at the end, S-T-R-E-T-C-H-E-D, the new editions are going to have a picture of Ricky Hatton on the canvas with his arms over his head and his eyes fixed in a comatose state. I'm joking, I'm exaggerating. I mean, it was a spectacular knockout, and Hatton did this to himself. Well, Pacquiao did it to him, but if you ask anybody who is realistic, even the most avid Pacquiao fan, they expected a long, drawn-out battle. And a lot of us, I think Teddy Atlas picked Hatton to win. Most of us knew better. But at the same time, even the most avid fan knew that it was going to be a long battle. But what we didn't expect was, with Floyd Mayweather Sr.'s tutelage, nobody expected Hatton to go revert to his pre-Mayweather Jr. fight habits of jumping in with his chin up in the air. I'm wondering if in between training camp and media week leading up to the fight, because I kept seeing Bernard Hopkins whisper things in his ears, I kept seeing Oscar whisper things in his ears, I kept seeing Shane Mosley whisper things in his ears, and I'm wondering if they would kind of got him to the point where you say, this guy is nothing, just walk right through him because you can take him and this and that. Because that's what it looked like to me. None of those exercises and those drills and things that Mayweather was doing with him in the gym were even remotely apparent at all. And Mayweather's going to may take the fall for this, and it shouldn't be. The only instruction we got to hear was that, you know, you can't just go out-muscle this guy. You got to use feints, you got to move your head, you got to keep your hands up. Pacquiao, on the other hand, he is what he is. He's an all-time great, and this is what all-time great fighters do. They whack out the competition you put in front of them. That's what they do. And, you know, with Hatton, I guess what I expected was more resistance than De La Hoya or Diaz gave him, but I never expected that he would be more reckless than either one of those two. I mean, De La Hoya walked down Pacquiao like a robot, didn't move his head at all, and Diaz, you know, for as much flack as he gets, at least tried to keep his hands up, at least was fighting out of a southpaw stance, at least was, you know, I guess trying to move his head a little. He just didn't have that much. Hatton had skills in between the two of them, although it doesn't appear apparent now. I mean, that was my take, that there would be more, a fighter in his prime would give more resistance, which he didn't. And let's go over the statistics here. Round one opens up, and it looks like two pit bulls. You know, Pacquiao's looking to feel him out, and Hatton wants to go ahead and engage him right away. And Hatton did land a couple of good shots, but right away, Pacquiao established a right hook that Hatton could not get out of the way with and got cracked square on the chin over and over again. The middle of his face was red by the middle of the first round. And then he put his chin up in the air, leaped in with a left hook, and right before he did it, Pacquiao was ready, and bingo with the right hand. Right hook, and Hatton went sailing right over the top of his head and down on his knees. Then the follow-up barrage. I really didn't think Hatton was going to make it out of the first round, and if the first round was 30 seconds longer, he wouldn't have made it out of the first round. As just a volley of punches along the ropes, capped off by a left hand and by Pacquiao, and Hatton was down again in the corner. Round ended right pretty much after that, and the only thing that saved Hatton in the first round, I think, was also that after the first knockdown, Pacquiao started coming out of the neutral corner. Pacquiao's one of the fastest guys to get in the neutral corner and make sure the referee starts to count. He started drifting towards Hatton, and Kenny Bayless made him get back into the corner. In the second round, Hatton started looking like he was going to get into the fight until he started getting reckless, you know, again, and Pacquiao just started picking him off. And there was one point between the middle of the round and the end of the fight where Pacquiao started boxing, and I thought he really hurt Hatton with a body shot. He leaped in with a body shot, and it made Hatton just stop. And then Hatton said, I'm going to get him, and started coming after him again. And you know, the funny thing about it is that the second that punch landed, Pacquiao had his right hand measuring, and Hatton again decided to go ahead and leap in to try to get him, and Pacquiao brought his left hand from his hip straight up, caught Hatton right where all these nerves are, like when you go to the dentist for a root canal and they give you an injection in your mouth all the way in the back to numb the whole side of your head. That's where he got hit, where his jawline meets like his ear and his neck, right there, and it just stiffened him and stretched him. That's the definition of stretch. Another landmark fight for Pacquiao. I can't wait for him to fight Mayweather because I want to see Pacquiao against Mayweather. Watch the first 4 rounds of Mayweather versus Judah when Judah races out to a lead. Times that by 100, and the fact that Pacquiao's not gonna just go away and get tired. That's what's gonna happen. All right, that's gonna be it for this show. Great performance by Manny Pacquiao. Ricky Hatton, I'm sorry. Looks like it's the end of the line, at least at the pay-per-view level anyway. And I want to thank everybody who has been watching the show and has been commenting. I appreciate it.